I'm going to explain to you the real purpose of the EU, the European Union. It has to become a death camp for the white race, a communist death camp. You may think, well, that's crazy, that's not possible, but unfortunately it is. You see, Vaclav Havel, the former president, he already warned that the EU had to become communist, and communism is much worse than you think it is, and I will show you this a little bit further on. Here you have Dominque Venner, who committed suicide the first half of 2013 in the Notre Dame in Paris. He warned that the white original race in Europe has to be replaced by Muslims and dark Africans. Both of these people are right. Of course, these things are very connected, and there's one group of people behind this all, and it's not the Muslims, as you might think. They have nothing to do with this. Well, they're a pawn in the game, and that's how they see it, the game where we have to be terminated, the white race, and they are the people that have to replace us. And you can see in Paris that they're doing a very good job. I mean, if you're a white person in Paris, you should really be ashamed of what's going on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these Muslims, but they should not take over Europe. And as you can see, they are taking over Paris, London, Amsterdam, Berlin, all these big cities, and a lot of smaller cities also. So we're very close to a point where we cannot change this anymore. I'll go through this very quickly. You can always pause things. Here you see the Hasidic rabbis, and these are the people that are behind it all. And they want to finish off the white race, and of course it's also very big in the United States. It still is, and they put presidents in place like Reagan and Clinton, and they kept influencing them after they were presidents. And here you have more recent politicians like Rand Paul, the son of Ron Paul. They're both working for them, and so is Obama. He's also one of the pawns, and so is Romney. All these people are bought and paid for by the Hasidic Jews. Our history has been changed. What you learned in the history books, that's not the real history. After World War II, the Hasidic rabbis, they bought up a lot of publishing companies, and it changed our history. And what you don't know is that as a bigger group, the Jews have been thrown out of countries over 100 times. Switzerland, Germany, Italy, France, etc., etc. And a lot of Jews are very honest about this. They say, we Jews who have posed as saviors of the world, we are today nothing else but the world's seducers, destroyers, its incendiaries, its executioners. Oscar Levy. And you will see this more, that the Jews are more honest about what they're doing than we, the white race, who are targeted. And this is incredibly stupid of us, of course. I mean, if somebody wants to kill you, you should say something about it. I mean, it's really crazy what we're doing. And in 1896, the Hasidic rabbis came up with the Protocols of Zion, and they're using them now in the United States to take it over. And they used them in Russia until 1917, the revolution. And then they took over. And these Protocols of Zion, they are like brainwash the people, own the banks. In America, they own the Fed and Goldman Sachs. In Europe, they own the ECB through Rothschild, own the media, use anti-Semitism as an instrument. So if you say something bad about something what the Jews really did, then immediately start screaming anti-Semitism. Very smart. Endorse democracy, so later you can bribe the politicians, like in the United States with AIPAC, this lobby group of the Jews. A lot of politicians in the United States called AIPAC whores. Exchange the Bible, spiritualism for materialism, distract the people with sports and entertainment. Well, the Jews, they own Hollywood. After all big movies and series, you see the names of Zionist Hollywood producers. Break the resistance with terror attacks. I mean, already in 1896 they thought of this. Make the debt so high that even the interest is impossible to pay. Also worked, of course, crash the economy. That is Russia and Germany. Also has to happen with us. Then you put in the people's head, everybody's equal. Well, that really succeeded. Crash the economy and then instigate revolution and create a new government where we are the majority, and we, that's the people who wrote all this. And they used like some parts of this with the revolution in France, and this is what they had to say about us. And you should pause it and read it, because this is very important. The French Revolution was the first big revolution that they instigated. And when they took over in Russia, I told you that communism was much worse than you could imagine. And they did this to these poor Russian children. I mean, this is really terrible. In the Bible it says, beware of the false Jews, for they worship Satan. And this is what they did. They created hell on earth for these poor Russians. They also made death camps, the gulags, where it was one man, one bullet. So they starved people to death and they shot them through the head. And they put them in these gulags, these death camps. And also there they starved them. They shot them and starved them. I mean, this is really, 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 really terrible. This is incredible. And you don't know about this because your history has been changed. The Secret Service of Germany and the newspapers of Germany wrote about this. And this must be in the archives of the newspapers and in the archives of the government in Germany. But they won't let it out because they changed the history books and they are keeping this a secret from you. I mean, this has really happened. And you don't know about it. Now you do, but you didn't know about it. And they want to do it again. This is the goal for the United States and for Europe, to kill you. They want communism again. And they want to have the United States and Europe look like this. And here's again another honest Jew. Churchill was a Jew. Not many people know that. A Jacobean Jew. And he already wrote about the role the Jews played in the Russian Revolution. And it was Russian general who said all the Jews were head of the gulags, the death camps. And this is all true, this has all happened. And these are some of the important Jews that were responsible for the Russian Revolution, or of the Jewish Revolution. And Karl Marx and Trotsky were Jews. Real names: Moses Levi Mordecai and Lev Davidovich Bronstein. And Lenin was a quarter Jew. Grandfather Shmuel Mosevich Blank. The first government of the Bolshevik state, the communism was first called Bolshevism. You had 556 important people and 457 were Jews. So almost all of them were Jews. It was a Jewish revolution, and they told it themselves. In the American Hebrew, September 10, 1920, the Bolshevist revolution in Russia was the work of Jewish brains, Jewish dissatisfaction, Jewish planning, whose goal is to create a new order in the world. Now you know what Bush was talking about with his New World Order speech. 11 years to the day until 9/11 happened. They liked this number 11. What was performed in so excellent way in Russia shall become a reality all over the world. And this was in 1920. You think, oh, 1920, but this new world order, it's the plan to do it for 10,000 years. So they don't care about 90 years. Doesn't matter to them. And they told it again in 1952. They want to mix the races. The white women must go with black people, and with black men, and white men with black women. So the mixing of the races means the end of the white man. And the most dangerous enemy will become only a memory. Because I told you, the Jews were kicked out of countries over 100 times. And then we shall embark upon an era of 10,000 years of peace and plenty, the Pax Judaica. So if in 1920 they speak about the New World Order, if you go, that's so long ago, they think in terms like 10,000 years. And our race will rule undisputed over the world. Our superior intelligence will easily enable us to retain mastery over a world of dark peoples. And that's when, after this, mass immigration started. And you might think like, oh, it happened in Russia, it was always backwarded. It was not. These were common people in Russia, like middle classes and lower classes, and they had a great life without all these bills for insurance, telephone, internet, and all these taxes. They lived in nature, most of them. And they had all this good food, and they had a really great, super great lives. They were very happy. And these are really the nicest people, these Russians. If you've ever been to Russia, really, really nice people. And this was the upper class, and you could not tell if this was Russia or Paris or London of the time. And these are Russian commercials. You can see here the Russian names, and you could think this was from Europe, that there's no difference. At that time it was a rich super country. This was art from before 1917. This is just timeless art. I mean, they had everything. And then the Hasidic rabbis targeted them and took them over. And they made the same mistakes as we did. They had a market crash and economic depression. This can still happen to us, of course. All manipulated through the protocols of Zion. Get the debt so high that even the interest is impossible to pay. This has also worked with us. And now we're waiting for this market crash and economic depression. It still has to come according to the protocols of Zion. It happened to them, it will happen to us. They did not understand it all set up. We don't, although more and more people are waking up. They did not stick together, as it says in the Bible. And inside protocol of Zion says, replace the Bible with materialism. And this also happened to them. And in the Bible it says the most concrete warning, beware of the false Jews, for they worship Satan. I don't know if there's a God, I don't know if there's a Satan, but it warns of the false Jews. And this is a very important warning. So I don't know if there's a God, but there's a lot of wisdom in the Bible. And if the protocols of Zion want to get the Bible out of society, you can bet your life that it can help us, the Bible. It says, don't be arrogant, tell the truth. Beware of the evil plans in higher places. Beware of Tony Blair, for example, just to name one. The Bible warns of everything. It's an incredible book of wisdom. Tell the truth. And they also planned World War I. The Hasidic Jews get Palestine. It was an English colony, and the Hasidic Jews, they got it. And after World War II, the Hasidic Jews get the state of Israel and the Jews that wanted to live there. So you cannot believe this is coincidence. World War I, they get Palestine. World War II, they get the state of Israel. And they even admitted, again, Jews are more honest than we do. They admitted in 1940, when the National Socialists, these were the Germans of the time, and their friends cry or whisper that this war is brought about, World War II, by the Jews, they're perfectly right. I mean, the Jews are more honest, the evil Jews, instead of the ordinary Jews, normal Jews who have nothing to do with this. I'm not an anti-Semitic. The evil Jews are very honest. And after World War II, the Jew Eisenhower, he was a Swedish Jew from Swedish descent. He killed 1.7 million German soldiers. Time magazine wrote a report about it. This is all written on paper. It's all facts, proof, pictures. It's all in magazines, Jewish magazines. It's not something made up or so. There are all these pictures of Russia, of all these Hasidic rabbis with politicians. And the biggest thing, after World War III, the Hasidic Jews want to get a greater Israel, where they rule a world of only dark people, as they said before, and Jews from Jerusalem. And this is Zion. Great Israel with capital Jerusalem is Zion, realizing the Pax Judaica, like I said before, 10,000 years of Jewish peace. Then it all comes together after World War III, and this is planned very soon. So the end goal, a great Israel that rules a world of dark people. And here you can read it again. This Rabbi Rabinovich who came up with this plan of mass immigration, mixing the races and end the white race. We have to be killed. And in Israel they do it very differently because they're very intelligent, and only Jews can go to Israel and become Israelis, and Jews are only allowed to marry Jews in Israel. The number of asylum seekers is kept low, but if dark asylum seekers come to Israel, they get forced birth control injections. That's very smart. They protect their own race. And in speeches, sometimes they call foreigners the cancer of society. You cannot do all these things in Europe because there's racist. So if you want to protect your own race, you're a racist. I mean, but what's wrong with it? The Jews are doing it. And in Europe, it's open the floodgates, and anybody who says, well, that's not right, I mean, we are overthrown, there are too many black and dark people, and we are becoming a minority in Europe. First in the big cities, of course, and later in the smaller cities, and then later everywhere. That's the plan. And people who warn about this before it's too late, they're called racist. I mean, you are an idiot, and you deserve to die if you're that stupid. I have more respect for the Jews than the evil Jews than I have for us, the white race. Really, you cannot be so stupid. And here you have Barbara Lerner. She came from America to Europe, and with EU subsidy, she founded an institution to promote mass immigration. Here she is. You can look it all up, it's all true. Here it says fund. They get European funding. Here's some European thing. You must be so stupid. We are funding our own extermination, our own termination through the EU. I mean, it's incredible. A world of dark people and Jews is prepared. Really, it's incredible. And here's a simple piece of logic. World War I was a setup to get Palestine. World War II was a setup to get the state of Israel and people that wanted to go from the Jews, the innocent Jews who had nothing to do with it, who wanted to go from Germany to Israel. And before, they didn't want to do this. And after World War II, they did want to do it. So World War I was a setup, World War II was a setup. They admitted it in this magazine in America even. So the EU meant to prevent these world wars. Of course it's also a setup. I mean, you cannot be that stupid. And here's another honest Jew. The Jews are more honest than we are. And he says, you have not begun to appreciate the depth of our guilt. We are intruders, etc. Put it on pause, read it. And why do the false Jews want to kill us? Because they are psychopaths, they love to kill, because they're very intelligent, they feel better than us, and because in the Talmud it says the Jews are human beings and we are beasts. The soul of non-Jews come from impure spirits and are called pigs. It is permitted to take the body and life of non-Jews, so any Jew can always kill me, you, anybody who's not a Jew. It's even the law to kill anyone who denies the Torah, and the Christians belong to denying one of the Torah. So if you don't follow the Torah, or if you are a non-Jew even, you can be killed. And every Jew who spills the blood of the godless, the non-Jews, is doing the same as making a sacrifice to God. So for a Jew to kill a non-Jew, it's extremely good. And I know it's only a small part that lives by these rules, but this small part is extremely influential, and they've killed millions of us. Only think of this Russian Revolution and World War I and World War II. And here's another honest Jew who explains anti-Semitism, how it prevents the white race from getting killed, like it comes natural to us. Read it. It's by a Jew. It's not by a Nazi, if you still believe that bullshit. I didn't say it. A Jew, an honest Jew, says it. The Jews are more honest than we are. Maybe you don't believe in all this Satan and Bible and everything, but the psychopath mindset explains everything, because psychopaths have no feelings for other human beings. They're drawn to violence and killing. It makes them feel good. They're drawn to plotting and scheming. They want to rule the world. This is a psychopath says, if you have a lot of fantasies where I rule the world, this is a fantasy. Rule the world, and they want to take over the world. I mean, this is 1 and 1 is 2. It's so logical. This all makes sense. And they're very good in sensing emotions for other people. That's why they could write the protocols of science, because they know how to manipulate our emotions. They have no conscience. If they kill anybody, 1 million people, 10 people, they don't feel guilty about it. And some of them are very intelligent. And if you put this all together, you get evil geniuses. They are evil geniuses. I think the IQ of the Hasidic rabbis will probably be 130 or something, the average IQ. Here you have IQ distributed through society. You have a small group of very smart people, a small group of very stupid people, and a lot in the middle. And you have the same with beauty, of course. Some very beautiful people, some very ugly, most in the middle. And of course it makes sense that you also have this with how people treat each other. Some people want to kill other people. Some people are very kind-hearted. So it makes sense that the Hasidic rabbis as a group, the psychopaths, exists. It's only logic. And okay, psychopaths, okay. Maybe you think, oh, that makes sense. It's all scientific. Psychopaths is not made up. But why did you not know about all this, these Hasidic rabbis? Well, the Bible, again, it explains it. Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that the deeds will exposed. Meaning, they did everything hidden. And that's why you don't know about it. Very simple. And because the psychopaths think differently to you. I mean, you as an average person, me, we think of holiday, career, close, relationship, all these things, TV series, and sometimes we think of killing somebody that cut us off in traffic or so, but not really for a few seconds. That's how we think. But a psychopath, he thinks all the time of killing other people. And sometimes he thinks in the front, if he meets regular people, but he thinks how to make a good impression on everyone. And this is what rabbis are telling the Jews who do all these evil things: make a good impression on everyone. This is very important to them. You really have to wake up, because some of these psychopaths, like Clinton, for example, or Obama, I mean, they seem like the nicest people and they smile at you, but they play with your emotions. Really, you should understand all this. Now, why is the EU so important? Well, you already know, like they said before, the American Hebrew in 1920, the Russian Revolution, and all this was done by the Jews, and it has to become a reality all over the world, the new world order. So, instead of taking over Belgium, France, Italy, Poland, all these countries, it's much easier to take over one big bloc, the EU. And they also think in systems like World War III has to be set up, and you have to organize this as big as possible. So EU, US, South Korea, Japan versus North Korea, Russia and Iran. And China, this has to be like the blocks of the Goyim killing each other. And here on top, the rabbis influencing the people, the politicians on top, just a few. And they can set it all this mass murder up. And this is called the game of mad, mutually assured destruction. And of course this can be organized through Syria, for example. They also, it's the way how they organize revolutions. French Revolution, Russian Revolution, set up people against each other. Rich against poor. And now they want to set up the Muslims, the Muslim world, also for World War III, against the native people, the original European people. Already heard Tony Blair say we have a problem with Muslims, and there is not anybody in this world who thinks Tony Blair really cares about all this. He just tells what they want him to tell. And here you have them influencing our people on the top, off the top. They did it, you saw the pictures of the United States with Obama, Romney, Rand Paul, Reagan, Clinton. But they also do it with us. And this is with Barroso, a former communist. And you know that, well, former communist. You know that communism is a Jewish invention from the evil Jews. And here we have another former communist, and here we have another former communist. I mean, this is incredible. Oh my God. I mean, you should be really, really worried. And here you have Van Rompuy. Oh my God. You did not know about all this, but now you do. And you should be very worried about all this, because they want to kill you. And it's all very, very simple, and that's why it works. The genius protocols of Zion, they were used in Russia and now in the United States, because the Americans have automatic weapons. They can protect themselves, and it's difficult to take over this country. That's why they do all these setup shootings in Aurora, New Dawn, New Communist Dawn, Newtown, Sandy Hook. All these strange names, it's on purpose. The Kabbalah teaches to use all these sort of strange tricks. And in China, it was a different story. They had Franco, Israel Epstein, Elsie Vervix-Stormy, Solomon Adler and Sidney Rittenberg. They went there, they instructed Mao, and they told him how to organize communism in China. And the Chinese people had, yeah, you already guessed it, no guns. And that's the difference between the United States and China, and United States and Europe now. Because the Europeans, the educated people from the universities, they think like the monopoly of violence has to belong to the state. How stupid can you be? The mass murders of Mao and the Cheka would have loved you, because if you have no guns, you can easily be killed. It's no problem. Read this, put it on pause, and read this, how they did it in Russia with the Cheka, the murder brigade. You can look it all up. Cheka, and then they went to the gulags. So you have to choose between good and evil, the light and dark, the psychopaths and the people with feelings. You have to choose one. The Bible also speaks about the lukewarm people who make no choice, here in the middle. So then you have a group of the dark fighting the light, and the light is a smaller group than you would want, because the lukewarm stay here, and then the dark takes over the light, the few people that will fight for you, and then of course the lukewarm people are standing there, and then all these dark forces come with all the machine guns, and they round you up and kill you. So that's why the Bible warns, don't be one of the lukewarm people, because the more lukewarm people there are, the smaller are our chances of survival. And that's what the genius Bible tells us. So you have to make a choice. You join them, okay, I can respect that. If you feel like that, do it. Or you can join the good guys. And the Bible, whether you believe in God, I personally think it's not relevant, because in the Bible it says a lot of wise things, I told you before. And here are some of these wise, very wise things. You should put it on pause and read it. If you're not a Christian, if you did not read the Bible, I never read it, but there's so much wisdom in it. It's incredible. And it's our protection. And this is symbolic. You have the Hasidic rabbis, and they have all these books, Kabbalah, Talmud, Protocols of Zion, Book of Ruth. They want to take over the world. They really do, people. It's the truth, really. And you have us, the innocent people. And the only thing that can save us is the Bible, and Jesus, because it connects us all. You will not join behind me. You will not join behind David Duke, for example. But maybe you will join behind the Bible and Jesus Christ. I don't know. Maybe. I hope so. I don't know. And there's some extra information. You have to be called a terrorist and be silenced and killed. This is their plan. This was already in the movie The Matrix. It was about 9/11, about the protocols of Zion, about the Matrix of control. And you have this PRISM project. According to the Guardian newspaper, you can look it up. Germany worked together with the US in this PRISM project. And in public, Angela Merkel ex-surprised. You have to understand this net, it's closing. You have to understand about these people in the top, they're influenced. You have to understand all these things. And you have to understand somebody like Susan Sontag, who had already ahead of the pack, a few steps ahead, and she thought it's very safe to call the white people the cancer of mankind. You already, before you read about in Israel, they call foreigners the cancer of Israel, the cancer of the country. And Susan Sontag, she calls the white people the cancer of mankind. This is how they think. That's why they call us the goyim, the goy, the cattle. I mean, you have to understand all these things. White people are the cancer of humanity, Susan Sontag Jew. The best among the Gentiles, the non-Jews, deserve to be killed. Talmud Rabbi Simeon ben Yohai. The best among the Gentiles deserve to be killed. This means all the Gentiles deserve to be killed. Really? Really? And you worry about anti-Semitism? Really? Are you that stupid? Really? It's incredible. Maybe you deserve to die if you're that stupid. And talk about terrorism, another 9/11 is soon coming. Because 9/11, it happened. Then the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, was changed. It says now, if another 9/11 happens, and they want to do it with the Hoover Dam probably, or with San Anover power plant, one of the two, if this happens, then there will become martial law, and anybody can be arrested and be held indefinitely without charges. It says now in the NDA, this is the law in America. So if another terrorist attack happens over San Anover power plant, anybody can be held indefinitely without charges. So you can walk on the street, police can come, army can come, say, hey, we're going to arrest you, we put you in a FEMA camp. That will be the law then. And now you understand maybe what the Matrix means. The Matrix means total control. You can pick up anybody, kill them, do whatever you want. That's the Matrix. And that's what happened in Russia. And what happened in Russia has to become a reality all over the world. And you see how they own the Fed in America with Bernanke, Zionist Jew, Greenspan, Zionist Jew, Volcker, Zionist Jew, the debt so high. Boom, just like the Protocols of Zion said they should be. I mean, this is no coincidence, people. It cannot, all these things cannot be coincidence. And talk about coincidence. Here are all these dictators that have toppled. And now you can see on the map, you probably never did it like this, but here you have Israel, and then all these dictators, tuck, 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 in all these countries around Israel. And you know about the new world order, what they want. They want to rule they want to have a new world order. They want to rule the world for a period of 10,000 years, known as the Pax Judaica, from a great Israel with the capital Jerusalem. This is Zion, where the old temple is rebuilt, and they want to rule in the spirit of Satan over a population of dark people and Jews. This is what they want. They want to kill you. They want the end of the white male, their oldest enemy. Well, what can you do? You can contact the media. This is out of the Protocols of Science, so you know it works. Contact the media and tell them about this. Send them this movie, another movie. Maybe if it's better, okay, fine. Doesn't matter. Contact people in power. Because this is what the evil Jews also do. And it works. They don't care if 10,000 ordinary people know about all this and talk to each other, blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah, I know. But we have no power, so it doesn't matter. And that's why the evil Jews, they rather have 5 people at the top that they bribed, than they have 5 million civilians, ordinary civilians, because they have no power. That's why they go to the top, so you can do the same. Because a small number of politicians, they work with them, but most don't. But they don't know about this, just like you didn't know about it. And they still have not won. They will win, 95% sure, but it can all change. They had to kill one of their own, and of course they don't like to do it. They killed Aaron Swartz, who wanted to save us with this. He wanted to fight this law against censorship of internet, and he was successful. And then they killed him on the 11th. Like all big things, they like to do on the 11th. And the same goes for Dominque Venner. They set up feminism in America. 300 most important feminists are Jewish women. And they used feminism again, that's why I tell you. Because the day after Dominque Venner committed suicide in Notre Dame, they put this woman in place and we had to distract from the message of Dominque Venner. Dominque Venner warned that the white race has to be replaced by dark peoples and Muslims. And she tried to distract you because she said, may fascism rest in hell. And she pretends to commit suicide. And she distracts you from the message of Dominque Venner. She pretends that he's just a fascist. And that was his message, and that's all. And you read the left-wing newspaper, and you think like, oh yeah, he was a fascist, oh yeah. If you're that stupid, you deserve to die. If you cannot see through this act, like look in her eyes, do it, look in her eyes. You see, it's an act, it's not real. She's not a real feminist. It doesn't really exist, but she's playing an act because she does what the Hasidic Jews told her to do. Distract from the message of Dominque Venner that you have to be killed. If you cannot see through this, then you're cattle, like the Jews say, and you deserve to die. And then I have more respect for the Jews that want to kill us all than for the white race. Also says in the Bible, they perished because they did not love the truth. I told you the truth, and you can look it all up. I did not give you a single lie. And please also try to tell the truth always like it says in the Bible, because it's the only thing that can save us. You'll notice, I do it for a long time now, that it's addictive, and you'll notice it feels good. You feel better if you tell the truth. Really try it. And a last message then to all you realists, skeptics and intelligent people. You go like, whoa, I don't know. But you never have this attitude to the mainstream media, but you have this attitude always to people like me who tell you something else. But couldn't it be that the mainstream media is sometimes right and people like me are sometimes right? Be skeptical towards the mainstream media and to me, to both of us, please. Then what I said you cannot deny. It's all the truth. Even you cannot deny at least that there's something to all this. So if you cannot imagine that you're being executed and that you will be mass murdered, that the white race will be exterminated, why take the risk? Because you know there's something to all this. Maybe you don't believe everything, but you know there's a lot of truth in it. I know it's all the truth, but you might not know this. But why take the risk? And why not vote for parties that want to get out of the EU and live in a mainly white Europe with independent countries that are not influenced by the evil rabbis? If we're all independent, they cannot take us over. You've seen the pictures of high-placed Europeans with rabbis. You've seen the result of mass immigration in the big cities. They've taken them over for the greatest part. And this will come to smaller cities, and then we are finished. And you've seen the same pictures of Mao and the evil Jews. You know the horrible result of communism in China. You saw the pictures of what communism did in Russia. So again, why take the risk?